So what are we talking about today? So I have a 3-point agenda. The first thing is why YouTube. We're going to go into a little bit about that. The second thing we're going to chat about today is what kind of content should I create? Because I think that's the thing that is probably the big thing. Is just like, okay, I want to do videos, but what should I actually do? Do I have to be a YouTuber? Do I have to those are questions I get all the time. So we're going to dive into that. And we're going to dive into not just what type of content, but how to find the right type of content, how to research it and tools like that. So there's going to be a lot of strategy today, but there's also going to be a lot of really tactical stuff that you may probably haven't seen before, hopefully. So, and then finally, we're going to talk about a little bit of YouTube video optimization. So that's like, how do you optimize your videos on your channels to get the most amount of reach and those things. So there are going to be some real tactical things like that as well. So give me a hands up if you guys are ready if you can still hear me, if you guys are ready to dive in. Awesome. Okay, so let's get started. So why YouTube? So we're going to go through a few stats here. I think it's pretty obvious why people need to use YouTube, but we're going to give you some interesting facts that you may have not heard of or seen before. So first thing is, a lot of people think about, I think a lot of us speak English, obviously, because I'm speaking English and presenting in it, but I know there's people all around the world that use YouTube, and there's people from all around the world, even watching right now, or that will be watching. So the funny thing about YouTube is it is truly global. It covers 95% of the internet population. There's over 80 different languages. So whether you are singing in English or whatever country you are from, or whatever your native language is, YouTube speaks your language. So it is a really great place to utilize, especially in social media or things like that, because there are certain countries where different social media networks are a little bit more prominent or not. But the nice thing about YouTube is that it is a platform that will cover your country wherever you're at. So it's a really good place to build. The next thing is we are increasingly using our phones more and more. I know that we've probably been on our desktops a lot more because of the pandemic, but overall, YouTube users prefer mobile over desktop. So there's more than 70% of YouTube watch time comes from mobile devices. So that means that people are out and about, they're on their phones when they're watching video. So it's important to consider that, like, what is the environment they are in when they are watching. That can affect from the way that you are mixing your sound because they're on a device, to how you film things, how you consider things, so how you zoom in, things like that. So it's important to note that YouTube users prefer mobile over desktop. So that's really important. So you want to make sure that your videos work well regardless of what device you're on, whether you're on a tablet or a phone or a desktop or what have you. So those are things that are important to think about. When we think about YouTube and mobile traffic, this is a pretty crazy stat from 2019. It says that YouTube is responsible for 37% of all mobile internet traffic. So that's more than a third of all mobile internet traffic. So if you're wondering, is YouTube a place to be on and can I find an audience? You definitely can if you do the right things. Finally, this is a stat for US users. I tried to look for something that was a little bit more European based, so I could be a little bit more, throw it across the pond, as they say. But I wasn't able to find great stats. But that being said, this is the percent of U.S. Internet users who use YouTube as of Q3 2020. So you can see, there are a lot of 15 to 25-year-olds. Everything is close to 70% or above. So there is a really large reach. You can reach every age group on YouTube, which is really nice because, there are different social networks that skew a little bit older and younger, right? Like Facebook probably skews the oldest, and then it's Instagram next. And then what skews the youngest is TikTok. But at the same time, everybody is going into TikTok as well. So, but that being said, the things to note is things like Instagram and Facebook do skew older now. So, YouTube is a place where, there are still a lot of young audiences. So that's also an advantage of YouTube. And here's another stat on mobile alone in an average week. So YouTube reaches more adults 18 plus during prime time than any cable network does. So that is a really important thing, because people are going to YouTube to consume content and to stream videos. And then finally, the one thing that what's really interesting is YouTube is one of the fastest growing demographics. YouTube is the older, the baby boomers, the 50 to 65-year-olds and the 36 to 49-year-olds. So 75% of them use that YouTube to embrace nostalgia, 68% use it to stay in the know, and 73% use it to access how-to content. So that's really important. If you are a songwriter or a producer or an artist, and you know that your audience scales or skews a little bit more to those older audiences, then it's good to know that you have a platform there and that you can do certain things that maybe if your audience was a bit younger, you couldn't. So there's a lot of opportunity there as well. So finally, here's the last little bit of stats, and then we're going to start diving into those type of things. So YouTube reaches more US customers from the ages of 18 to 49 than all the cable TV networks combined. We already talked about that. After Netflix, YouTube is the most preferred platform for viewing videos from 18 to 34-year-olds. Almost, if you are in the US, almost 15% of YouTube's traffic comes from the US, which means 85% comes from other countries. So once again, if you are international, or you are somewhere that isn't North America, there is a much bigger audience than for you. And most of the traffic is coming from non-North America. And then finally, only 33% of popular YouTube videos are in English. So if you speak a second language that is not English, or your native language is not English, you have an opportunity to be able to do videos in the language of your target audience or your best one. So there's a real opportunity there. So the next thing that we are going to talk about, so